We're live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Daytripper Photo Show. Thank you for watching tonight. I'm super excited for a couple of reasons. First of all, we've got an awesome guest on, Joseph Leduc. Hello to you.
Well, hello, Brian.
Hello, hello. And, of course, we have Phil Zerato with us tonight.
Hello.
And you'll notice, conspicuous by his absence, Gabriel's not on the show tonight. He is overwhelmed. He's got so much going on right now. So he's taking tonight, and he's taking care of business and spending some time where he needs to. So, cool. That's all fine. Thanks, Gabe. We've got the better part of the crew, actually. You know, no offense to you at all, but we've got the better looking and the younger. So we're good to go. Anyway, I don't know where I'm going with this. But tonight is a banter show, and as all banter shows go, we're going to kind of talk about a bunch of different stuff. But the main gist of tonight's show is actually going to lead about our session we have coming up with Joe, the masterclass Daytripper Photo session on liquid art, we're calling it. So we're going to talk a lot more about what liquid art is in just a second. I really think this is going to be a fun show because we're talking about this really cool stuff that you can do anywhere you want. You don't need to be pitch black. You don't need to be bright. You just have to have a few little props and some good ideas. Joe's going to talk about what you can do with a few drops of water or some milk, some oils, some other things that your imagination can think of. There's so many different things you can do, and we're going to get into some fun stuff that has to do with that. So, Joe, thank you for being on the show. Thank you for spending the time that you do and helping people understand how to do this stuff. Ron Gray already says hi. You know Ron.
Oh, yeah, Ron. Great character.
Ron's awesome.
The Photogs Newmarket Seniors Group.
Yes. Such a fun... Actually, let's talk about that for a quick second. The Seniors Group in Newmarket is so cool. You've had me out. I've been out there a few times, done some sessions with the guys. They're a lot of fun, and they love photography. This is the kind of thing I like about photography is it doesn't matter what age you are. It doesn't matter your experience. You can enjoy it, right?
It doesn't matter what age you are. If you enjoy photography, you can go out by yourself or out as a group. I mean, this is a fun group to go out with because they really enjoy photography. They enjoy outings. They enjoy going to outings that have a close by Tim Hortons or bar or a nice location for lunch. But we all enjoy the same thing. I mean, it doesn't matter what age group you are. Everybody enjoys photography, and it doesn't matter again if you have a point and shoot camera or you got one of them big honking 500mm lenses, which some of them actually have with fairly good equipment. So it's a great group. It's a lot of fun, and they're excited about photography. And why not? I mean, today photography is so much more interesting.
And that's all that matters. You got to have that passion. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
You just stepped out for a second.
Yeah, I muted because I was coughing. I didn't want to blast everybody's eardrums.
That's okay.
All right.
Thank you very much.
No problem. No problem. So, okay, we're going to talk more about that in just a second. Before we get into that, I just want to say hi to Phil because I don't know how much talking we're going to do to Phil tonight.
I'll chime in. I'm actually really interested in this because the entire branch of photography that I'm going to, kind of label this as the whole abstract style of shooting. I think it's awesome. And as you were saying earlier, it's something that you really can do with, the equipment you have and very, very simple stuff. You don't need to have, really expensive lenses. You don't need to have a whole studio, though it could help. You can do it on your kitchen table or somewhere that you don't mind potentially getting wet.
Well, you know what, Phil, I started doing most of my liquid art because my wife kicked me out of, not the house, but she kicked my equipment out of the house and said, I'm banished. So I went to my garage and I said, well, if I take the car out, I got lots of space in here. So I started doing most of my liquid art in the garage because, for one, it doesn't matter what kind of mess I made, or if I had, different dyes and color dyes and things, if it got on the floor, it wasn't going to damage anything. So I started doing it all in the garage, which tells you that you don't need a lot of space. Mm-hmm. All you need is a garage.
Yeah, or a lot of plastic bags that you can lay on the ground.
Or a cloudy day, go outside.
Exactly, go outside in the backyard. We've seen a lot of community members in the past make some images that we're talking about where, there's oils and water and splashes, and I remember somebody used a speaker and they put like a bluish green paint in there, and that actually won one of our photo contests. Really cool things.
Yeah.
What was that, Joe?
I did that. Yeah.
Oh, that was you. Okay, well, I think it was somebody as well as. I don't know if it was only you, but
Yeah.
it's great stuff.
No. It's fun to do.
So we're going to get into a bit more about this stuff in just a minute, but first I just want to remind everybody who's watching, you can join our community on Google+. I was talking to a couple customers today at Henry's, and I told them about the community. They got so excited because when you know what this community offers, it is an exciting thing to be a part of. 24/7 help. Anytime you have a question, you get an answer. Supportive comments on your photos, and also just a good outlet of people that you can learn from and experience cool things with. And whether it's part of the community that are in the senior center or part who are in Toronto, I mean, there's people all over. So be a part of the Daytripper Photo community on Google+. Hop on in there, ask to join. I'll accept you until I don't. But there's only been 2 of those people. Anyway, and also, if you like our show, please click like, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Tell your friends, tell the world that the show's going on, because you know what? There's a lot of useful content in our show and a lot of fun and occasional laugh here too. And once in a while you get to take a shot because we mentioned Don Komarechka. But keep on watching, more stuff coming. And also don't forget that if you'd like to be a part of the show, it's super easy. Just hover your mouse over the window that you see us on right now. Along the left side, about the 4th option down, it'll say Q&A. Click on that, and along the right side you'll be able to type away and let us know what you're thinking. Say hi, like Ron already did. Let us know you're watching. Have any questions, post them. We answer them right away. So let's get to it. Oh, wait, we can't. Got some interesting stuff.
Okay.
Big news. More big news. Drum roll. Thank you. So first of all, y'all know I'm wearing the Sennheiser shirt right now. I've got the Sennheiser headphones. Really appreciative to Sennheiser for what they're doing for our show. And they're also giving us now some swag that we can give away at the quarterly photo challenges. So they've given us some pens, they've given us some lanyards, and also some cool shirts. So if you do well in our photo challenge, you might walk away with some cool Sennheiser swag. Also, I want to thank our good friends over at LensPen, of course. Guys, what more can we say about LensPen? Joe, you're the newest member of the panel here. Even you use lens pens, I would assume.
Oh, I use lens pens. I bought the whole cleaning kit from you, and lens pens I've pretty well got out every other day. And I'm using my equipment quite a bit, and I've been in some pretty dusty environments lately. And you noticed the other day when I was shooting something that I had a little bit of dust bunnies on my sensor. So I got home and I took care of those dust bunnies. I killed those suckers.
That's awesome. And it's funny, I actually just shared one of their Instagram photos of when I did the sensor cleaning demo at work. Excellent stuff. Check it out, LensPen stuff. Guys, seriously, if you don't have it, your stuff's too dirty. Also, the big news is there's a sponsor. Our very first sponsor of the show, Daytripper Photo Show, was our good friends over at Cotton Carrier. Now, we are still doing a lot of business with Cotton Carrier at Henry's. Love their stuff. I use it every single day. A lot of the folks in our group, Gabriel uses it. Phil, do you use some Cotton Carrier stuff? You have Black Rapid, right?
Yeah, more Black Rapid. But the two of them, very similar. Cotton Carrier's got a couple extra things that Black Rapid doesn't have. Like Black Rapid's great for sling straps, but they're not the most secure if you want to be a little bit more adventurous. Whereas I think the Cotton Carrier stuff, with like the I want to call it like the chest mount system you can like lock your camera into, or like the holster system that you use is fantastic. And much better than I think some of the other stuff out there. Better product all around. It's not just a good clip, but it attaches to your belt or get a good
it's comfortable.
Exactly.
Do you use that stuff, Joe?
No, I use one of the competitives, but I mean, I like it. I've often steered people towards it. It depends on the type of person and the type of equipment they're carrying. I have the one that's got the heavier catch on it for carrying bigger lenses, and I've been quite comfortable with that. But a lot of the people,
for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, everybody has different body style. Sorry, Joe, what were you saying?
It's a good product. I mean, as I said, it depends on the person and how much weight the person's carrying, and I steer them towards that one all the time.
I think what it comes down to, my favorite thing about Cotton Carrier is just the holster. I wear a belt every day, so for me it's like awesome. You just put your belt in there, strap it down, get your camera, slide it in the little hooky thing, and it just hangs there on your side. It locks in place. You got to twist it to get it off. So it's secure, as Phil said. You don't have to worry about it. You can run around and do all kinds of stuff, and that's all you wear. And it's big and comfortable. Love it. So anyway, thank you to Cotton Carrier for being a part of the Daytripper Photo Show one more time. We're going to actually include one of the holsters and one of the Cotton Carrier hand straps in the quarterly prize package. So there's going to be some Cotton Carrier stuff as well. So thank you very much to you guys. And it's only good for our community. I mean, nobody else can take advantage of this. Only our community can. You have to watch the show. You have to be a part of it. Contribute to our photo contests and win some stuff. All right, that's it. That's the end of a blah, 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 blah. Let's get to the meat and potatoes. Before, say hello to everybody who said stuff to us in the Q&A. Kathy O'Craven says, woohoo, swag. Swag's good. Swag's always good. Jason, hello to you, and hi to Tammy as well. Cool. Don't forget, guys, anything you have to say, go ahead and chat to us. Let us know what's going on. Now let's get to the meat and potatoes. Joe, what is liquid art? What's the deal with this stuff?
Well, with liquid art, you don't need a lot. You could have just an atomizer, a piece of glass, and some water, and that's basically you can start your liquid art project with just that. A bag strung up over a coat wire and just having a drip come out of it and go into a tray of water. Just a tray of water in it with a little bit of oil. I mean, liquid art could be all kinds of different things, from throwing water onto a subject to just letting water drip away and photograph it. I mean, I've done all kinds of liquid art where I just drop fruit in a fishbowl, and a fishbowl doesn't cost very much money. The dollar store is my biggest place to go for props. If I can get a prop from a dollar store, then why would I go anywhere else and spend $5 or $10 for it?
Because it's a brand name fishbowl.
No, of course. Yeah. So I buy a Pyrex dish from the dollar store, and it works quite nicely for most of my water art stuff. Just some simple products like Rain-X from Canadian Tire, just to put that on a piece of glass, and now the water will bead, the same little bead on your windshield. You just put it on a piece of glass and spray a little bit of water on it, and now you got these beautiful bubbles just form right on top of it. Yeah, that's exactly right.
There you go. So
all I did.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No. After you.
All I've done here is I put a piece of colored chart behind the glass, and the glass is sitting on a couple of boxes, and then underneath it I put my name, Fun Freestyle Photography, and of course, you just light it with one simple light, just off-camera flash, and you can use your speed light to do that. You don't need any big honking flash or anything else, and it does the job quite nicely. You focus on the beads of water, you don't focus on the chart or the graph behind it, and then that way everything shows up. It's the same as what Don Komareska does with his photography of doing the refracted flower in the bead of water that shows the flower behind it. Same principle exactly.
Yeah, and that's some of the stuff that we're going to be talking about, how to actually set it up. We're going to have the props there, right?
Oh yeah, certainly.
So everything will be all set up. You can just show up, and we'll show you how to do it.
I want to walk through each station so that everybody will have a lot of opportunity to be at each station and walk through and shoot to their heart's content. I've been making today, maybe I can show you some of the graphs. These are just ones that I've been doing today. Am I on camera?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. These I just made by starting out with a white background in Photoshop and just started playing with some swirly colors and some graphs and some charts. And now you put this behind, and this becomes your refracted image in each of the water drops. So you want to start with something that's kind of graphic. You can use anything from lines. I did one here. This is one of my favorite ones. And that one, Brian, if you want to show the one with the big, it's got a big one there with a water drop in it.
There you go.
That's the exact same one as what I just showed you with this graph of lines that I made in Photoshop just underneath a piece of glass. And so again, you focus on the bubbles, and the refracted color underneath just becomes quite sharp within the bubble itself.
Yeah,
so
I'm super excited.
It's a lot of fun to do.
Yeah, sorry, Joe. This is just one of those things that really gets me excited because there's so many things you can do as a photographer. There's so many different avenues, and I've always liked that whole, punch me in the face with a photo and I'll probably like it. Zombies, grungy, shock value kind of stuff. This is so different. This is, to me, it's like it pushes your limits and it takes macro and does unnatural things to natural things. You know what I mean? It's that unnatural, natural image.
I find a macro lens for a lot of water art is important. You could use stepping rings, and you can use extension rings and other devices. But I found ever since I've had my macro lens, it's my best portrait lens, and it's the most exciting lens that I have actually in my kit of lenses. And it's a great all-around lens for doing a lot of things. Most of the macro lenses are fairly fast, but it's not only, as I said, the macro lens also, because it's a flat field lens. And it doesn't matter to me if I'm photographing water art or a bug or doing a portrait of a baby. That macro lens is 90% of the time on my camera. Mm-hmm. But you don't need a macro lens for everything. You could use one of your longer lenses and go to the maximum focus length, which is 1/4 times life size, which is fairly good for doing most of this kind of thing. And you could use it for doing the two glasses smashing together, as an example, with liquid in them. Or, there's all kinds of other ones that I do with, just bubbles, where you blow bubbles within bubbles within bubbles. And that way, again, you can get that back at a distance and be able to still close focus onto them. That's just two plastic glasses. And obviously you don't put real liquor in there. I'd be licking it up off the floor. It's food coloring, pretty cheap, and I could make a whole picture of red dye by just a couple of drops of food coloring and just use it over and over again. So food coloring is, again, one of the things in my arsenal. Most things in my arsenal, as I said, are from the dollar store. It doesn't matter if it's a couple of drops of baby oil and water or just food coloring. And food coloring, it's, again, one of those products that just adds more impact to a shot, rather than just having two glasses with white water hitting each other. Mm-hmm. If you just put a bit of food coloring, if you didn't use real wine, then it's usually too opaque. It's difficult to get wine that has enough see-through value. Like, that's, again, just a piece of glass. These are plastic glasses. Again, you get 10 of them at the dollar store. I'm really cheap. So,
nothing wrong with that. Trust me. There's enough that we talk about on this show that isn't cheap. So
yeah. That's just taking a plastic glass, filling it with a bit of food coloring, and dropping it onto a hard surface. When it hits the hard surface, obviously the water, hopefully, will bounce out and create some kind of interesting effect. So it's just a very simple effect. Now, that fish in there is my fish that I have in the fish tank. He's still alive. We haven't hurt the fish. I just photographed him. I just wanted to add another piece of interest to the shot, to add a little bit more impact. And so I just photographed the fish in the fish tank, close cut him, and put him in the shot just for a little bit more, impact for the picture.
Very cool. Phil, have you ever done this kind of stuff before?
The only thing I've really done similar was I had a fish tank, like a really tall, narrow one, and I dropped variety of different things into it. Dropped in some fruit, kind of like you mentioned earlier, as well as see if I can get this thing to load here. Bear with me for a second.
While you're doing that, sorry,
a perfectly usable camera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that working?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's a great shot.
That's beautiful.
And so it's just kind of a fun thing to do, and like.
That's how you clean
trying
them.
It out. That's exactly. It's, water cameras that go along really well together.
As long as it's a Sony.
Exactly.
Yeah. Nikon, this wouldn't do anything because Nikon's a weather resistant. And, Joking.
You know what I took out?
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. You know what I took out of the fridge today? My frozen camera that was still covered in ice. I've had it in there since the last project I did this winter. And finally my wife said, I need the space in the fridge. Could you take your camera out? So
tell me you're doing a time lapse of it thawing. Please tell me you're time lapsing it thawing.
I just thought it out. So
that would have
but I've got another couple of projects for that camera yet. I'm gonna have a lot of fun with that camera.
Cool. We've got a question from the Q&A. Jason asks, what is the distance between the glass, or the graph, and the glass?
Oh, it's I use apple boxes, and they're probably about 12 inches square, maybe 13 by 12. And you could use all kinds of different things to prop it up. If you had books or something, you can change the distance to get a different effect. And you don't have to use a graph underneath it. You could put a Coke bottle underneath it. You could put something that you've written underneath it. I put a world on a graph behind it to try and get the world to show up in it. I put flowers behind it, and so you can move them up and down and in and out, and changing the height of the product underneath will change the refraction in the water. So it's trial and error in some cases, but most of the time I like to give it about a foot.
But experiment, right? Raise it, lower it, try all kinds of different things. You'll learn something different.
Exactly. It's one of those things that patience and trial and error is probably going to end up with the best results.
Mm-hmm. Before we go any further, before we go any further, I just want to say hi to Karen. Her hi has been up there for a while. I didn't want to ignore Karen. So, sorry, Joe. What were you saying?
Well, photography's changed a lot since I started. My first photography teacher would put a string on the light, and he would take it and right to the person's nose that we were going to photograph, and mark the floor and everything else and the subject distance. And if you didn't put everything in the same place, then you failed his course. And I thought, how boring. I mean, I don't want to become a photographer and do this. I mean, the thing is, once you get good at something, then stop doing it and start something different. Don't be repetitive. Just search, look, try, explore. The thing is about being a photographer is every day is different. Every day to me is a different product or a different subject or a different style of photography. And to me, the more extreme lighting is, the more exciting the lighting is.
But even the stuff that we're talking about tonight, like the liquid art, there's such a diversity in things that you could do. I mean, one minute you're doing, like I showed there, the water on the glass. Next minute you're doing this, and you're going to have to kind of explain this one because it's not something that people normally see.
Oh, this is another fun project. We're just taking one of those graphs that I just showed you that I made just by making a clear piece of white space and putting colors in it. So these are colors underneath, and this is just oil. Oil and water do not mix, and I think most people, sooner or later in life, that sort of clicks on most people's brains. And this is just dropping a little bit of oil, and you can use different types of oil. You can use table oil, with sapphire oil. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't mix with water. So the colors underneath are, again, my charts, and all it is bubbles going by with the oil that doesn't mix with water. So it's just, again, floating pieces of oil in a clear Pyrex glass held between those two apple boxes. So again, the water is floating above my color chart.
So how is this going to be set up at the session? There's going to be 5 zones, right?
I'm going to put 5 shooting tables together, and each table will have a different subject. And everybody will get an opportunity to try out each subject and pick the backgrounds that they want to use and put the backgrounds exactly. They can move the background, they can move the subject, they can move, put more oil in or take, usually, putting too much oil in, and you don't get too many bubbles. If it's full of oil, and you just get one big bubble.
Big blob.
So usually a table, big blob.
Do you need this light?
Yes, I do. Sorry.
No worries.
Sorry, my cat's talking to me.
Okay, so we're going to have water and oil. We're going to have water drops on glass. We're going to have bubbles on mirrors. I haven't shown any pictures of that yet, but I will. Bubbles on mirrors, a fish tank and fruit. We're going to do that. And the plastic glasses clinking together.
Yes. And we might even do some plastic glasses where we actually take and try and flip the color dye in it and stitch them together. I'll show you that one once you get to it.
That's cool.
So
this is one of them here.
Yep, that's a fun one to do. It's just a matter of timing. 90% of the time you drop it, and then you take the picture, and you got milk.
Well, that's
water art is fun. It's just patience, doing it over and over again until you get the one shot you want. This actually was my 3rd attempt and my last attempt because I was in a hurry to get something else done. So I just got the one shot, and that was it. And this is, again, just taking the glass, and I'm actually holding the bottom of that glass. and I'm just flicking the dye out of it. And then at the end, I just hold the glass from the top now at an angle and photograph the bottom, and then stitch it together. So this is basically 3 layers. The 2 bases, because if you're lighting it, you would have to light it from the same side. Otherwise, when you stitch it together, it would look wrong. So I held it to the left and held it to the right, did the base, and then stitched together.
I think this is something we've got to talk about. When it comes to what you do with your edited or your images after you're done shooting, there's a lot more than just capturing the cool image. One of the cool things, and we're going to talk about this a little bit, we should probably get to it right now, actually. Why is this a master class? Now, Daytripper Photo has done a few master classes now. Don Komarechka had one, Navi Noon with the portrait one, and of course, we're doing this one with Joe. This is what makes it different. There's a lot of really great sessions out there. And, you know, Joe does a lot of classes with the Richmond Hill Camera Club and the Senior Center and private and so on. So you can always talk with Joe about this kind of thing one-on-one, even if you want to. But what makes this one so unique is the fact that we're having a class. We have several hours of hands-on shooting time in our own private studio. All the stuff is set up. Everything is there for you, so you get education and you get to do it. When it's all said and done, we get a follow-up photo review at the Loft Studio a week later. Not exactly a week later, because that would be Father's Day, so we're doing it on the Monday night, the 20th. I don't want to take Joe away from his family on Father's Day. I don't want to get killed by his wife. I just don't.
They would probably enjoy that.
Or my wife, I'm hearing from the other room. I only have a cat, but, you know, whatever. So yeah, we're not doing it then, but we get a full photo review.
That's a fur baby.
Fur baby, yes. Full photo review a week later, and we're going to talk about how to edit a little bit. So maybe we can entice Joe to give a couple tips on how to do these really cool composites.
Well, I'd love to, but again, it's the kind of thing where you've got to have the images and you've got to have everybody together and then actually do a walkthrough. And they have to understand just basic layers. It's nothing really complicated. Photoshop techniques. It's in some cases it's just a little bit of cropping, sharpening, enhancing, and maybe a little bit of cloning, because you want the images clean and you don't want bubbles where you don't want the bubbles, and you might want more bubbles when we're actually in the picture, so you can steal them from another shot.
And this is exactly what we're going to be talking about in the review. So you get the education, you get the hands-on shooting, you get Joe teaching side by side with you the whole time. You get the follow-up photo review and a little bit of editing talk, and best of all, well, maybe not best of all, as well as I'll be there. So I'll help out too. and this is something that both Joe and I are extremely excited about, and everybody at the Loft Studio. We have just worked with a new company, well, maybe not a new company, but new to us, 360 Kids. And this is a group that does basically kids that have had a hard time. They get a lot of support from this group, 360 Kids. It's a local group, and they only help people in York Region, I believe. And we are actually having one of their young people. She's 20 years old, so she's not a kid, and she's going to be helping us out at the studio. So she'll be present at the session as well. And it's just awesome to have, you know, us helping the community and the community being involved. I'm sorry, I just had to mention that, Joe. I thought that was a fun thing that we have going on.
Well, she's the one that picked us, and you know, she just found us online. She saw the Loft Studio, and she was excited about an opportunity for her, because she loves photography and she wants to grow in that area. And this is going to be a wonderful experience for her, because she's got 5 different people with 5 different areas of expertise, everything from marketing to communication to electronics and computers to photography to, you know, everything from food photography to people photography. So he's going to get, you know, a great deal of variety of information from all these different people, and so it should be an extremely exciting time for her, because she'll be able to really grow quickly and and hopefully have a lot of fun at the same time.
Absolutely, we've got her for 10 weeks. So we have 10 weeks to destroy her desires of loving photography. No, I'm just kidding. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Okay, Joe, back to the topic at hand here. What kind of props would somebody need at home? You've talked about the sheets that you've printed, a piece of glass. Tripod?
You know, I've been writing a few. Oh yeah, well of course, you know, water art you can't really do handheld. If you're doing water drops, or if you're doing dropping fruit, or if you're doing a lot of that stuff, it's almost like you have to have a camera set on a tripod. You have to pre-focus. Everything's done in manual, and 90% of the stuff is you have to use flash. Now the reason for flash is you got more power, and it's the speed of the flash that actually helps with the sharpness of the movement of the image. Because water splashing, it moves at a fairly fast rate. So if you haven't got a flash that goes at a fast cyclic rate, then you're not going to be able to have that stopping power. So usually we put our flashes on low power. We go a little bit higher on our ISOs so that we can accommodate that low power and still have enough depth of field. Because if you're dropping a piece of fruit is fairly big in depth, especially if you're doing macro, because you know with proximity, the closer you are, the less depth of field you have.
Right.
So with a macro lens, big piece of fruit like a red pepper or something, you got to be shooting that somewhere around f16, f11, f16 to keep the whole thing sharp. But I'll show you techniques of using a ruler and putting a ruler in place to be able to focus on that first. Turning your macro, exactly. Turning your autofocus off so that doesn't change, because if you move anything in a picture, you know your autofocus is going to be searching. That basically is, water is upside down, and the reason I do that, it looks more graphic. It puts a base to it, so that fruit is actually dropping into the water, but I have it actually in reverse because I like to have the water on the base.
Well, you don't have an anti-gravity chamber that you should.
No, it's not. Mind you, there's a fair amount of air in these peppers, and that's why I like to use them, because they don't drop as fast. And it's not like a heavy sucker like an orange or an apple or something. It just drops straight like a stone. These things have a fair amount of air in them, so that's why I like to use peppers. And red pepper, of course, one of my favorite colors is red. And I usually always, buy some different colored peppers, and I buy hot peppers and all kinds of different things. But
hot tamales.
Show the one with the blue background, Brian.
Don't yell at me, Joe. Jeez.
I'm sorry. I'm
just joking. I just do that. I'm weird.
Well, you know my military attitude. Got my gun. I got my gun. Where is it?
Which one with the blue background? Which?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
The pepper. There's bubbles with the blue.
Just before that green one was a red one. Okay. It doesn't matter. It's just all I did there was I just changed out the background. And the nice thing is you can put any colored background. I just again go to the dollar store, buy colored paper. You can get poster paper that's fluorescent, that's red, green, blue, purple, orange. And again, it's dollar store materials. It's not like I have to have an expensive background. It looks like it's big, but it only has to be as big as the fish tank. Oh, that's the bubbles.
Yeah, I had to share bubbles.
Okay.
So this is all stuff that... Sorry, what was that?
I say we all love bubbles.
Yes. Jason says, I have an aquarium in my garage doing nothing. Until now, that is. Beautiful.
I got the one fish. Cause I said to my wife, it'd be nice to have a fish for my project I was working on. That was the beta fish that you saw blue one. Now my wife has gone crazy. I have 3 fish tanks. We started with a small one. Now we're up to 30 gallons with, blowfish. These 3 big blowfish, for Pete's sakes, and the one in 5 and another, and a beta and another one. So that's the same beta. I just colored him twice. So.
Okay.
That's cool. See,
fish tank. You can do a lot of stuff with a fish tank, and it's just a fish tank and dollar store paper and a flash, and you're away to the races. And some of the best pictures, you don't even need to have fruit. Just jam your fist into it and take a picture of your fist going into the water. So there's all kinds of different things you can use. It's just it's up to your creativity and your mind and how frustrated you are.
Yeah, Mark, frustrated you are. Yeah, punching water. Mark says, I have 3 aquariums, all in use. I don't think the fish will mind a pepper or 2 passing by. A fist, maybe. Watch the fist. Yeah, there's so many cool things you can do, and I think the fact that we're doing this session, and it's not one of the most expensive sessions we've done. It's a reasonably priced, $200 a person. There's going to be 8 people. What did we decide on that?
10 max.
10 max, right. So there's going to be 5 zones, 10 people max. That means 2 people per zone. you've got so much freedom, so much space, so much creativity you can work with. If you have props of your own you want to bring, you can do that as well. There's still only 4 spots left for that session, so it's filling up pretty good.
Well, the thing that I find interesting is not only doing the session, but it's also coming back and going through the images and then showing how to maximize the effect of what you did and really bring home the the skills that you learned during the session and being able to get the impact of the images you take during the session. So
So
a
true.
lot of it today, photography isn't only about taking the images. It's at the end of it, it's making the images. The proper presentation to bring out that impact at the end. And we're all, I don't want to turn everybody into Photoshop addicts, but, you have to have a little bit of Photoshop skills or Lightroom skills to really bring out the quality of what these digital cameras can get you.
So true. We were talking before, Joe, about, and I kind of paraphrased it myself, micro control of your environment. The fact that you can really control every facet of what you end up with. And with your military background, obviously you have certain things that you are prepared, and you get things exactly as you want them, and you take your time, and you do it right. So maybe you have a quick tip for this concept in how we shoot this stuff.
Well, again, in my military background, plus in my studio background, working for the last 40 years doing studio photography, is time spent planning is never wasted. And the plan, I always start with a plan, and I start with an idea. And, I push myself. A lot of these are self-motivated. People get bored, and because they're doing the same old, same old. I mean, if you get bored and you think there's nothing else to photograph, just turn on and look at 1DX. Or 1x.com or 500px or all kinds of different wonderful sites out there. Look at my website on 500px. Just Google Joseph Leduc on 500px, and I mean, it's an exciting world, and there's a million things to photograph. But the main thing with doing water art is patience and persistence. Have a plan, be organized, and then the patience of doing it over and over again. If you're doing dropping water, you're not going to get it on the first attempt. It might not even be the last attempt, but you got to do it over and over again until you get the shot that you want. And I don't stop until I get the shot that I want. So it's just persistence and patience, and you're going to end up with the quality of work that you want.
For sure. When you tell me to do something, Joe, I do it. So here you are. This is your 500px site. So, man. Now here's the coolest part. Here's some of your water stuff here. Most of your photos are taken on sessions that you've run and sessions you've been on.
Yeah.
Like this
not
one.
all of them, just quite a few. But
Well, that's true. I shouldn't say most. Quite a few.
Yeah. But
amazing work.
This particular, photography is so much fun. We found that praying mantis during one of the senior sessions that I had at the senior center. The lady comes in and she had this praying mantis with her, and I said, "Oh, could I borrow that and take it home with me?" So that's actually photographed in my living room. It's not an outdoor shot. It was done in my living room with just 2 lights, one from behind, one from the front. And I just put a pencil. My daughter actually put a pencil near its face, and it just put up goes the 2 arms, and he was ready to fight. So
that's exactly what Shelley would look like if I brought this home and tried to do this in my living room. I'm gonna kill you.
But you can see the different types of photography. I do everything from commercial work to nature. I love nature, but unfortunately, I have to make money at doing this. That was my one cat, and we put a fur coat on it because I thought it was the lion.
I was wondering if this is some kind of special breed.
This cat thought it was the dog. It was one of those ones that we found up in our place we used to live, and it was freezing to death outside. As soon as we opened the door, it saw the food, and it was the best pet we ever had. So.
Oh, that's so cool. You just never know with cats, man.
No,
they're all so different.
I call that hitchhiker. And again, this is a session that I run every year for the Richmond Hill Camera Club. I get Zoo to You to bring in about 30 different animals. I bring in sand. I bring in all kinds of driftwood. I set 1 light up at each station, and we usually run it with 40 people. And they go in a round robin, and everybody gets to shoot it all. I set usually 8 stations up, sometimes 10. And we have about 4 hours of photographing these animals in a studio environment. and it's a thing because they bring everything from tarantulas, snakes to, you know, amazing. We've had foxes, we've had eagle owls. They brought all kinds of different animals, and it's been a lot of fun. And I'm going to do it again this year.
That's so cool.
Oh.
Yeah, the advantages to being in camera clubs. Now, this is something that we're going to work on for the fireworks session on the 30th.
Yeah.
This is a focus blur, isn't it?
This is focus blur, exactly.
Very cool
So
fireworks.
Pop zoom. It's fun to, you know, to me fireworks is more exciting when you participate a little bit more than just leaving your camera static. My camera sometimes is swirling and zooming and panning and shaking. Maybe it's me shaking, but you know, it's fireworks. Once you've done it for a number of years, in fact, this year during Canada Day, I told my sister, I'm going to be visiting her in Ottawa, and I'm going to be at the Parliament Building for Canada Day this year.
Nice.
Because last year we were going to do a bit of rain last year, if you remember. So.
Yeah,
I always wanted to be at the Parliament. Yeah,
I
always wanted to be at the Parliament. Yeah,
I would too. That would be amazing. Best place to be on Canada Day.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, Phil, have you got any questions? Sorry, Joe, what were you going to say? Plus what?
No, I'm just saying Napa has their actually weekend presentation that week before the Canada Day presentation, so I can go to the Napa Awards in Ottawa at the same time as go to the fireworks show. So it's I can kill two birds with one stone.
Excellent. Phil, what do you have to say?
I would say, you know, don't have a lot to add, but I would do add in that I would almost put more of an emphasis, especially more so with like the water drop style or the, you know, smashing kind of glasses together style. You know, practice a little bit before you even try and take a picture. Because if you start by trying to, you know, maybe get like a timer going, get a remote going, get everything happening at one time, it might be a little hard to juggle. So if you start off, you know, practicing the motion and then add in taking pictures, it would be a little bit easier than trying to do everything at once. Something I learned when I was trying to drop things into water and take pictures at the same time. Getting it in the right place consistently made everything else easier.
Is this something you'll give tips towards, Joe, for the session?
Well, being prepared, again, patience and preparation, time spent planning is never wasted, and you know, making sure you walk through it step by step so that you don't, you know, make it too complicated. You know, just start with your subject in place, and then put the camera on the tripod, then focus, then turn off your autofocus, then, you know, do the lighting, and then do a test shot without the product there with the lighting. You know, it's step by step, and it's anything you do in photography. It's you just don't put the camera up and start taking pictures. I mean, I have a way of zeroing up my camera for every job because who knows what the last job I did. So as soon as I pick up my camera, I make sure I'm on RAW, I make sure I'm at the right ISO, I make sure the color balance is properly set, and it's just a technique that I have, never being surprised when I take the first picture and find out that with my client standing beside me that I got a blank screen because it's at 6,000 ISO or something, you know. So I always make sure the first picture out of the camera. I'm an old film guy, and I used to hate wasting film, especially when it was 11 by 14 or 8 by 10 film. So I make sure the first picture I take, the histogram is 99% perfect. And then the second shot, it's a perfect shot. So it's never wasted. I hate killing pixels.
Well, the nice thing about this,
time.
It's not, yeah, for sure. Especially like you said, with you're talking about 8 by 10 plates and stuff, it's wasted time and huge money. But the nice thing about this kind of photography is you can set up, get your shot right, and as soon as you've got that lighting and as soon as you've got your focus right, it's all locked, and it's just being creative. Trying different things, you know, replacing the sheet underneath, replacing or changing the height. Well, not even changing the height, but changing your fruit that you use or something like that. There's so many different variables that you can play with. So I'm really looking forward to it, and I really appreciate you coming on the show tonight and talking about it and educating us a little bit on some of the things you can do. And I just can't wait for the session because the hands-on and the photo review is just going to be over the top. I'm really anxious to get some shots there myself, actually.
Well, bring a camera.
I might have one. I might have one lying around. Don Hennessy says, great show and some very cool ideas. Awesome. I'm glad you think so. And I appreciate all the viewers. We had quite a few viewers tonight, so thank you all so much for watching and for being a part of the show. We have a great time doing this thing, and I always learn something. And this is just a precursor to the actual session where I'm sure everybody in the community will see some of the photos. There's quite a few people, as I said, who've registered, and I'm sure they'll post some of the shots afterward. And depending on how well it does, maybe do another one down the road. We'll see how it goes. What do you think, Joe? Put you on the spot right there. Before the
I
session
think
even
there's lots. One thing I've enjoyed about the Loft already is the capability of the different members that are partners, and some of the stuff that we'll be doing in the future. I want to run a lot of workshops out of there, but more shooting workshops with professional models and doing different things. You've got some great ideas. Navi has some great ideas. So I think there's lots of opportunity for learning, either through your Daytripper group of people, and I mean, they're the ones I think are going to benefit the most from it. I've seen some of the people that have joined your Daytripper shoots and have grown tremendously within the Newmarket Camera Club and within the Daytripper events that you ran and the trips that they've been on, and the images that they're now posting have grown tremendously. I mean, the quality of work that they're producing is, pretty exciting, and I think they're enjoying their photography more because they've been giving those extra skills and the extra knowledge, and they're actually producing some pretty good work, and some of them even have gone in to do quite a few professional shoots.
I agree.
So
yeah,
it's been a great learning experience for a lot of the people from Daytripper or from the Newmarket Camera Club.
But isn't this why we do it, Joe? Isn't this the thing that gives us the most pride in our day-to-day is seeing people, and I'm not going to name names, you all know in the community who I'm talking about, seeing these folks take their photography to exactly where they want to be, enjoying it, getting that fun out of it, and doing very, very well. It's so exciting. That's like a huge source of pride for me. Love it.
Yeah. Well, I enjoy it. I'm with the Richmond Hill Camera Club, Country Images Camera Club, the Newmarket Seniors Camera Club, the Newmarket Camera Club, but I'm also with the Greater Toronto Council of Camera Clubs, and now I'm presenting in Minden to a camera club up there. So, it's because you're giving back. I wish I'd have had this kind of education when I was growing up. If I went on a 2-day seminar in Toronto back in film days, you wouldn't learn anything. It'd be an advertisement for a product or a lighting system, and you'd spend $1,000, and you'd come out of it after a weekend with very little knowledge. Where today, if I go on a workshop, I come out with a 2-hour, 3-hour workshop, more information for minimal amount of money for my education, and I come up with a new skill that now it just gives me that much more in my arsenal of tools where I can go and now produce better quality work.
Yeah.
Oh, is that my wife? That's my wife. I'm not.
Shelley's mother. Shelley's mother calling for Shelley. I have the phone, so.
Yeah.
Hi. There's a phone there. There you go. Thanks. Yeah, I'm just so excited. There's so many things going on right now, and with more and more being done every day. Phil, you educate. You've got to have something to say about this. I mean, that pride that we get and the fun that you get from taking a class.
Well, yeah, it's a lot of fun, and both from taking and from teaching. It's good when you're trying to learn something new, and I think every day you should at least learn something new. Maybe not photography related, but just in general, and just getting a little bit more information, expanding what you know, because there's always something more to know. And I don't remember how the saying goes, but something along the lines of, you're never aware of how much you don't know, or you don't know how much you don't know, and it just kind of expands because every time you learn something new, it opens yet another door that you have something else to learn. So the more you learn, the more you know that you don't know, and then the more you can learn. So it's like a weird vicious circle that means that you can just continue to absorb knowledge.
Absolutely.
22.
Yeah,
Exactly.
really.
22.
All right, guys. Well, that's pretty much it for us. I want to remind everybody who's watching to take part in our current photo challenge, and that challenge is Canada. And I had somebody email me earlier today and was like, what do you want from this challenge? Well, it's the same thing we always say. These challenges are open for interpretation. They're designed to give you a reason to get out and make a photo with some thought, and to submit it to us so we can give you a review and give you our opinions on what you did and how you achieved your goals, and see what you think. We always give some information that you may not have thought about, and it's certainly never in a very angry way. We're not that kind of group. So if you want to share your photos for our photo challenge for Canada, think outside the box. Send your image into the Daytripper Photo community at Google+, and we will review it next Wednesday night on our weekly web show on Photo Review. Last thing for the night, aside from saying goodnight to everybody, is our quote of the day, our quote of the week. And this week's quote is, "There are no rules for good photographs. There are only good photographs." Now, we all know who said this. This is the man, Ansel Adams himself. And, you know, he has so many quotes, and every single one of them is so true. I encourage everybody to go back and read the Ansel Adams books, The Camera, The Negative, The Print. The print? Negative? Definitely the negative. Some great work. Now. I know. He comes out with new ones every week. What do you want? No, I'm just joking. He died in 1984, I think.
Anyway, he comes up with the book.
What's that,
I'm
Joe?
still trying to understand his zone system.
Oh. You can never stop learning, even from somebody who was a photographer in the 30s and 40s and in the late 1800s. As Ross has shared some amazing images and some great, anecdotes about some of these amazing photographers. It's all about visualization, following through, doing it right, and we encourage everybody to do that. So thank you everybody for watching. Joe, thank you so much for being here tonight. Really appreciate it.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me.
Always a pleasure.
I spent an hour today. Unfortunately, I found a book with Joseph Karsh.
Oh.
And I spent, when I should have been doing something else, I spent an hour looking at the pictures because it's like anything. I mean, whether it's Karsh or any other photographer of the period that I grew up in, I mean, they were just masters. And there's more masters to be made every day. We just, have to find them. And they're there, just looking for them. And now Gabriel's got me doing these podcasts, the same as you. The podcasts are exciting ways of educating yourself. Phil said, I mean, I never stop learning. And the photography has changed in my lifetime so many times over, but it's an interesting education. And I don't know where it's going to end up. Maybe my watch will be my camera of the future.
It's the contact lens.
Yeah.
Samsung and Sony have patents for contact lens cameras, so I can't put contact lenses in, so I'm doomed. I'm always going to have to use a regular camera, but whatever.
I don't know if that's a problem. The problem would be when you have your camera contact lens in and your virtual reality goggles on, what are you taking pictures of?
I think you're just going into seizures. Overload. Anyway, thank you, Phil, as well, for being on this week. Always a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you for having me, and always nice talking to you as well, Joe.
It was nice talking to you, Phil. See you later.
All right.
Sounds good.
Good night, everybody. Have a great week, and we'll see you soon. Don't forget to get your photos in, and we'll talk. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.